Hi everyone, so today I got a request from my viewers. He asked me to talk about how difficult is it to buy a summer home in Japan as a foreigner. Basically, how difficult it is to buy a property in Japan, even that summer house or even, just a property. So let's check it out. So this time I'm gonna reference two websites. I'm gonna show you this website in the description page. So if you wanna check it out, please click the link. So first of all, can foreigners buy property in Japan? The simple answer is yes. And as you can see, it is available for purchase. In Japan, foreigners can acquire ownership of real estate just like Japanese people. Ownership of land is also recognized. So not just about owning the in-house, even the owning the land is also okay. And even here, it says in Japan there are no restrictions on foreigners like those found in other countries, no restrictions based on permanent residency, Japanese nationality, or type of visa, and foreigners are allowed to own real estate, both land and buildings. So maybe this is a very good part, right? There is no time limit on ownership and it can be bought and sold freely and can also be donated or inherited. Taxes levied when purchasing, owning, and selling real estate, and the same as for Japanese people. So even you're foreigner, this is gonna apply to the same rule for Japanese. Also in Japan, you cannot be granted a visa or permanent residency simply for purchasing real estate. Even you bought property in Japan, that does not mean they're gonna give you permanent residency. Simply you own the property. And also let's check about other website. So in this website, like I talk about it, in Japan there are no restrictions on buying and selling real estate based on the nationality of the buyer. The interesting part is countries with no restrictions like Japan are actually in the minority, with the United States, Canada, and France being the only developed countries. So other developed countries, this is not the case. Many countries have restrictions on foreigners buying and selling real estate. And there are also countries such as Indonesia, where you cannot even do real estate transactions if you do not have Japanese nationality. Yeah, this is not a Japanese nationality, this is an Indonesian nationality. Yeah, two websites I'm referencing is not from English website, so I'm using Google Translate from Japanese to English, so some parts are not correct. These regulations exist to protect the security and interest of each country, and their content varies from country to country. For example, in China, you cannot purchase land, but you can buy and sell buildings. Land you cannot buy, but buildings you can sell and buy. As an aside, if Japanese people are investing in real estate overseas, they should be aware that if they are not familiar with these regulations, they may be at risk of falling victim to investment fraud. Even if you're not Japanese, you don't know about this, you might get scammed, so everyone please be careful. So like here in Japan, even as a foreigner, you can buy property. Now, when foreigners purchase real estate in Japan, it is safe to assume that they will be subject to roughly the same conditions as Japanese people. It can be said that Japanese real estate is easy for foreigners to purchase with peace of mind. Okay, now we know, even you're foreigner, you can buy property in Japan. So next, important points for foreigners buying real estate in Japan. In Japan, real estate transactions are usually handled by a real estate company to prevent transaction trouble. Direct transaction between individuals are almost never carried out. Even you know someone who's gonna say, I'm gonna sell this house to you, usually it's gonna be very rare. Or like this website says, usually this is gonna be done by a real estate company. Information on properties for sale is registered by real estate brokerages and real estate companies selling real estate on the Real Estate Company Network System, REINS, Real Estate Information Network System, and the private real estate portal sites. There is no database that manages all property information and transaction history as seen in other countries. Okay, so now you know when you buy property, you have to contact real estate companies because direct transaction between individuals are rare. The next topic is how to search for real estate information. So there are three websites that's gonna be used largely: Sumo, Homes, and At Home. So these are pretty popular Japanese language real estate information sites, but there are very few sites that provide real estate information in foreign languages. So if you're curious about a foreign language website, please check this out. Plaza Homes has a large amount of real estate listings for central Tokyo in both English and Chinese. This is gonna be a small trivia about real estate agencies in Japan. There are approximately 120,000 real estate agencies in Japan, which is said to be twice the number of convenience stores. Well, this is gonna be crazy, people might know, there are so many convenience stores in Japan, but still, twice the number of convenience store. So it's kind of crazy. However, there are very few real estate agencies that support foreigners in purchasing real estate, and these are currently limited to certain urban areas such as Central Tokyo, Yokohama, Kobe, and Fukuoka. When purchasing real estate, it is important to ask a reliable real estate company to act as an intermediary, as the contents of the contract and the procedures are specialized and difficult. And the transaction is expensive. In addition, since foreigners have difficult procedure from Japanese people, such as preparing the necessary documents and handling overseas remittances, we recommend that you ask a real estate company with extensive experience in real estate transactions for foreigners. Like this website said, you should find trustful real estate agency, since some process might gonna be a bit complex. So now, finally, we're gonna talk about the process of buying real estate in Japan. Once you find a property that interests you, you can ask a real estate agency to arrange a viewing for you. Once you have decided on the property you want to buy, you can submit an offer to purchase, negotiate the terms of the sale with the seller, and then enter into a contract. For more information process of purchasing real estate, see the guide of buying property in Japan, so you can check it out. Okay, here, cost. So this is gonna be very interesting part, right, about cost. Okay, costs required for purchasing real estate. When purchasing real estate, in addition to the property price, various expenses and taxes will be incurred, such as registration fees and brokerage fees. Each expense is calculated based on the property price and the property's fixed asset tax assessment value. When searching for a property, please make sure to plan your finances with understanding that 6 to 8% of the property price will be required as miscellaneous expenses. Okay, next one is it depends on your situation, whether you live in Japan or not. So in this video, I'm gonna specifically talking about you are not in Japan, but you wanna buy property in Japan. Those who do not reside in Japan, or those without residency status. So only two stuff you need. First one, affidavit, as proof of address and signature. Second, identification document, driver's license, passport, etc. An affidavit is a document in which a person swears to a notary public that the contents of a private document signed or stamped by the creator are true, signs and stamps a document and has it certified by the notary public. So this is gonna be a bit of, technical stuff. So if you're curious about it, please read these sentences and you can check it out. If you are not living in Japan, affidavit and identification document. Finally, you might think, I don't have money to buy property in Japan, but you might ask me, what about the loan? Can I get a home loan? Yes, you can. But there are some requirements. Okay, first, many financial institutions state that applicants for home loan must be Japanese nationals or have a permanent residency. But after examining 19 major financial institutions, we found that applicants can borrow money if they meet any of the following minimum conditions. Yeah, these minimum conditions are gonna be tough though. Yeah, I'm not sure you're gonna have these conditions. Let's check it out. First, housing for your own living space in Japan is eligible. The premise is that you are purchasing a residence to live in. Therefore, it does not apply to those who purchase a second home in Japan without residing in Japan or to overseas real estate. If you don't live there, you cannot get a home loan. Even you're gonna buy a second home. So you have to live there. Second, acquire Japanese nationality or become a permanent resident or special permanent resident. Even if you're not a Japanese national or permanent resident, there are cases where you can take out a home loan if you have a resident status or resident card holder. Regarding residence card holders, Sumitomo Mitsubishi Trust Bank, Sumishin SBI Net Bank, SBI Money Plaza, and others state in the explanation that they are eligible for home loans. Third, your spouse has a Japanese nationality. Even if the person taking out a home loan does not have Japanese nationality or permanent residency, some banks will allow the loan if the spouse has either of these and is able to act as a guarantor. Finally, fourth, able to understand Japanese. This is a condition set by Tokyo Star Bank. It will be difficult to get a mortgage from other financial institutions if you cannot communicate in Japanese. So if you can, That's good. If these conditions are met, it will not be difficult for foreigners to obtain a home loan from any financial institution. Also, although the screening conditions vary depending on financial institutions, it is relatively easy to pass a screening for Flat 35, which has a fixed interest rate for the entire term, as long as you meet the screening criteria. The minimum loan amount for Flat 35 is 80 million yen. However, depending on the financial institution, the loan limit can be as wide as 80 million yen to 500 million yen. The way you structure your mortgage also depends on how much of a down payment you can prepare. It's a good idea to get estimates from multiple financial institutions before applying. Now you're gonna pay for real estate purchases. How you gonna do it? Transferring money from overseas to Japan. In Japan, a real estate transaction is usually completed when a deposit is paid at the same time as a real estate purchase contract is concluded. The remaining purchase price is paid at the time of settlement and the property is handed over to the buyer. The purchase price is paid to the seller's bank account by bank transfer at the timing of this transaction. Most non-residents of Japan do not have a bank account in Japan, so they have to transfer funds from overseas. But when transferring funds from overseas, it is difficult to coordinate the arrival date, which can cause problems in the safety of the transaction. Therefore, in many cases, funds are transferred in advance to the account of the real estate company that mediates the transaction, and the purchase price is paid from the real estate company's account. Since a large amount of money needs to be transferred to the real estate company, it is important to choose a reliable real estate company that is familiar with real estate transactions for foreigners. Okay, now you could buy property in Japan. Congratulations. Almost everyone, almost. Only two stuff you have to know. Notification obligations under the foreign exchange law. When a foreigner residing overseas acquires real estate in Japan, this is considered a capital transaction under the Foreign Exchange and Foreign Trade Act, and a report of the name of the acquirer. The acquisition price must be submitted in a prescribed form to the Minister of Finance by the Bank of Japan within 20 days of the acquisition. So you have to do this. However, reporting is not required in the foreign case. First, when acquired for residence purposes by the non-resident himself or herself, or non-resident relatives, employees, or other staff. Second, when a non-resident who conducts non-profit business in Japan acquires a business for the purpose of carrying out said business. Third, when acquired by a non-resident for his or her own office use. Fourth, if you acquire real estate from another non-resident. Okay, finally, this is the last part. Thank you for listening to me so far. Obligation to pay taxes after acquiring real estate. Yeah, of course, this is a part you don't want to hear, If you own real estate, you must pay fixed asset tax and city planning tax every year. In addition, if you rent out your real estate and earn real estate income, you will be subject to income tax. So you will need to file a tax return. Therefore, if the taxpayer of real estate is a non-resident of Japan, he or she must appoint a tax agent to handle procedures such as receiving documents from the tax office, paying property taxes and other taxes, and filing Japanese income taxes on his or her behalf, and submit a notification of the tax agent to the director of the tax office. In addition, if you own an apartment, you will need to pay management fees, repair reserve funds, extra to the apartment management company every month. So this is the old process about how to buy property in Japan. Well, actually it's a request from my viewer, more like summer home, but it's the same thing. When you buy a property in Japan, you have to have this process. Well, actually, it seems a bit complicated, but the good part is, even you're a foreigner, when you buy property in Japan, it's same procedure like we do. So, especially if you're gonna buy property in Japan for living or even for investment, I'm gonna say it's not a so complicated process. Like what you need: affidavit, identification document, and money, trust for real estate agency. Then you can buy fantastic property in Japan. So everyone, thank you for watching. This video was a bit longer than usual. If you think this video is helpful, please like and subscribe. And of course, if you have any questions about Japan, even, any topic like even working, language, culture, history, and any topics, if you want me to talk about it, I'm gonna make a video for you. And yes, everyone, thank you for watching this video. And also, it would be nice if you're gonna leave some comments below this video, that's gonna motivate me making good content in the future. So everyone, thank you for watching this video and see you next time. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.